So, looking at the immediate issue here, just dealing with Iraq, you know, we need to, President Obama has to change his mind about the use of ground troops and establish a safe haven and a corridor to the safe haven for the Yazidis, which is going to take some ground troops. And then he ought to put some spotters in Iraq so that we can conduct more robust airstrikes against ISIS. He's killed 16 militants. That's not very many. And so we're sitting here, it's Saturday, and did Condoleezza look strident? No, she didn't look strident. She looked like she was wrong, is what she was. She was saying that Mr. Putin is being aggressive, and he's not. He's simply defending his sphere of influence, of course. And President Obama said we are moving away from sphere of influence. Well, you can't move away from sphere of influence, because no matter what, we are pushing a sphere of influence, and Russia is pushing a sphere of influence. And without spheres of influence, there's no one to wield power there. You're trying to say that Brazil is going to be the equivalent of the United States, or the Ukraine, or Georgia is going to be the equivalent of Russia. Well, they never will, because they don't have that kind of power. They don't have a massive nuclear arsenal. So those countries have to listen to the U.S. and Russia. And Condoleezza is simply wrong, of course. She insults Mr. Putin, of course. Of course, Condoleezza, of course, she said that if we didn't invade Iraq, it would result in a mushroom cloud, of course. And there were no nuclear weapons in Iraq, so Condoleezza was wrong there, or she lied. And additionally, she said that we should she said that we should isolate Mr. Kim Jong-il, and of course she's being too aggressive towards North Korea. You should speak softly and carry a big stick, and trying to isolate North Korea isn't going to work. You can't isolate a country like that, of course, and what it does is it just makes them angry, and it pushes them more towards the east and towards other rogue countries such as Syria and Iraq and countries like that, and China, of course. It just pushes them towards China. And of course China, of course, is a nuclear power, but they don't have nearly the arsenal that the U.S. and Russia have. Of course, China, of course, is has humanitarian problems. However, that's not our primary concern with China, because vital national security interests have to come before humanitarian interests. And as far as China goes, we have to watch out for their nuclear weapons and for proliferation from China, as well as their overall influence. If we step all over China's toes, we're going to find we have a proliferation problem, and that they'll get more aggressive towards their neighbors. So we have to decide what's most important, and number one is proliferation by China, and how much support are they going to give towards North Korea, and how aggressive are they going to be towards Taiwan. Of course, Taiwan is located very close to them, and would we allow ourselves to be nuked based on support for Taiwan? Well, I don't think we would we? But if they were to go for, if China were to go after Japan, perhaps we would have to allow ourselves to be nuked, and then we'd nuke them back, of course, and much worse. But maybe Taiwan you wouldn't, or maybe you would, But we need to be careful about Taiwan. If they start getting aggressive towards Taiwan, we have to push them, of course. And our military is much bigger than theirs. And their nuclear weapons are essentially a weapon of terror. They have about 20 ICBMs, and some of them are pointed at the United States, of course. And what we would like for them to do is de-alert these nuclear weapons. And so we need to coax them to improve their human rights policies, and we need to coax them towards being a more representative government. But this isn't going to happen overnight. They're a totalitarian government, an oligarchy. But that's not our primary concern, though. That's their form of government. We may not agree with it, but we have to respect their power first. If we're gonna simply reject them based on their government, we're gonna find that we run into proliferation problems, and we're gonna run into trouble with their neighbors there, and their own little sphere of influence, and we have to realize that we could accidentally get ourselves nuked, and if we're not careful how we deal with China. And you're not going to convert. To think that we're going to convert all the countries in the world to democracy, of course, is naive. Democracy works for the United States, and Russia is now a representative democracy. But representative democracy does not work for all the little countries in the world. True, most of them have elections, but some of them you have too many splinter groups and too many rebel factions in order to maintain elections and a strong government. Look at Egypt there. Mr. Mubarak, he was an elected leader. His election practices weren't perfect, but he was kind of a strongman, though, and he was a pro-Western person, though, and he was a good ally, and he supported Israel and supported the U.S. Now, when he went down, of course, you don't have a strong leader there. You don't have a strong leader there, and they have elections, and they keep getting overturned. And so what you see is a weak government there, and so you see Al-Qaeda attacking from the north, and they have their own little rebel forces within the country, and then you see, of course, Libya there, and so they're having trouble fighting Al-Qaeda, but they're maintaining unity. The unity of the people against Al-Qaeda, of course, because they don't have a strong leader like Mr. Mubarak there, who would frequently overrun the election process because he had to deal with the rebel factions there, of course. And so democracy may not be the best thing for Egypt, of course. As far as 100% fair elections, to try to maintain that sort of stuff and maintain political power is difficult, and does not allow you to handle your foreign affairs, of course. And that's why you see many countries, many littler countries, can't maintain a democracy. They need a strongman there to maintain control over rebel factions and terrorist groups. So we'll just look over here at these right right here. It says Obama U.S. strikes destroyed ISIS weapons. Still the president even on vacation. Believe me, it's a working vacation, and the journalists know that. They're just attacking the president by saying he's on vacation all the time. In truth, they do their thinking while they're vacationing. That's what they do. But see, President Obama, of course, where are we going to start? Everything's just laying there broken, like I've been saying here. You start with Ukraine and superpower relations. The superpower relations are not very good. The arsenals have a hair trigger, and we're not going to deal with the arsenals until we improve our relations with Mr. Putin, of course. And of course, that's survival, of course, is what that is. Nuclear war would kill us all. And you start with Ukraine, then if you look over there at Pakistan, and they're taking a pounding from Al Qaeda, and there's Yemen taking a pounding from Al Qaeda, and Iraq, of course, is a mess. And where are you going to start? The U.S. troops not going into Iraq. A political solution in Iraq. Well, that's not going to work. There's four factions in Iraq. All they understand is power, force. You're not going to get a stable Iraq anymore. You broke it, you own it. So President Obama is not going to do anything there. And here.